You are tuned to Iri-e-learning and I am your host, Teacher. In this acids, bases, and salts unit, we will examine classification of oxides. Check the description box for links to all the videos related to this unit. By the end of this lesson, we should be able to classify oxides according to their acid-base properties. Classification of oxides. Oxides are classified either as acidic oxides, basic oxides, amphoteric oxides, or neutral oxides. And we will start with acidic oxides. Acidic oxides are oxides of nonmetals, and when they dissolve in water, they form acids. Therefore, the acids of nonmetals are called acid anhydrides. Examples include sulfur dioxide, SO2, sulfur trioxide, SO3, carbon dioxide, CO2, nitrogen dioxide, NO2, and dinitrogen pentoxide, N2O5. These are just a few examples from a long list of acidic oxides. We will now examine the different acids formed when the acid anhydrides dissolve in or react with water. Now we start with sulfur dioxide, SO2, when dissolved in water, produces the acid sulfurous acid, H2SO3. Sulfur trioxide, SO3, reacts with water to produce sulfuric acid, H2SO4. Carbon dioxide, CO2, dissolves in water to produce the acid carbonic acid, H2CO3. Here is a little activity you can try at home. It involves dissolving carbon dioxide in water. You can use exhaled air as a source of carbon dioxide. In this demonstration, we will use universal indicator solution, the pH scale with the associated colors and pH values, a small container half filled with distilled water, a tube through which carbon dioxide will be bubbled into the distilled water, and a clean dropper for transferring 2 to 3 drops of universal indicator solution to the distilled water. A few drops of universal indicator solution are added to the distilled water. Note that the indicator has a green color in the distilled water, and that green corresponds to pH 7. Therefore, water is a neutral solution. Next, the glass tube is used to deliver or bubble carbon dioxide through the distilled water. Notice the color of the indicator in the water changes from green to an orange-yellow color as the carbon dioxide is bubbled through it. The orange-yellow color corresponds to pH 5 on the scale. Therefore, when carbon dioxide is bubbled through distilled water, a slightly acidic or weakly acidic solution of carbonic acid is formed. The next acid anhydride is nitrogen dioxide, NO2, which dissolves in water to produce 2 acids, nitrous acid, HNO2, and nitric acid, HNO3. Finally, from our list of acid anhydrides is dinitrogen pentoxide, which dissolves in water to produce nitric acid. So 1 molecule of dinitrogen pentoxide reacts with 1 molecule of water to produce 2 molecules of nitric acid. We will take a look at basic oxides now. Most basic oxides are oxides of metals. We learned in the first lesson for this unit that the metal oxides are called bases. So basic oxides, which are bases, react with acids to produce salt and water as the only products. So to get more information on the lesson on salts, check the description box for a link to that video. Examples of basic oxides include just about any metal oxide such as copper oxide, CuO, magnesium oxide, MgO, sodium oxide, N2O, and potassium oxide, K2O, which are just a few we have listed here. We will explore a few examples of the reactions of basic oxides with acids to produce a salt and water. So we'll start with copper oxide. Copper oxide is a black solid that reacts with sulfuric acid to produce copper sulfate and water. Next we have magnesium oxide. Magnesium oxide is a white powder. When it reacts with hydrochloric acid, the products formed are the salt magnesium chloride, MgCl2, and water. Some basic oxides dissolve in water to form alkaline solutions, and these alkaline solutions are called alkalis. Most soluble bases or alkalis are the oxides of group 1 metals such as sodium oxide and potassium oxide. For example, when the soluble base sodium oxide Na2O dissolves in water, the alkaline solution or the alkali sodium hydroxide NaOH is formed. In this experiment, we will demonstrate that a basic oxide such as the metal oxide sodium oxide forms an alkali or alkaline solution when dissolved in water. To prove this, universal indicator paper will be used to test the pH of the distilled water and then the solution after the metal oxide dissolves in the water. For this activity, we will need a sample of sodium oxide solid. Sodium oxide is a white powder. We also need a small container half filled with distilled water, a spatula, a forceps or tweezers, a pH scale, and universal indicator paper. First, the pH of the distilled water is taken. The color changes to a dull green, which corresponds to pH 7 on the scale, hence water is neutral. A spatula full of sodium oxide is dissolved in the water. This produces a colorless solution of sodium hydroxide. The solution formed is tested with universal indicator paper. Notice the color changes to a deep violet color. The violet color change corresponds to pH 14 on the pH scale. Recall from the lesson that basic oxides of group 1 metals such as sodium oxide and potassium oxide are bases that dissolve in water to form alkaline solutions called alkalis. The third group of oxides are the amphoteric oxides, and these are a few metal oxides that have both acidic and basic properties. So they react with acids and bases to produce salt and water as their only products. Example of amphoteric oxides include aluminium oxide Al2O3, lead oxide PbO, and zinc oxide ZnO. We will use lead oxide in our example to show the properties of amphoteric oxides. Lead oxide can react with an acid such as nitric acid to produce the salt lead nitrate, Pb open brackets NO3 close brackets 2, and water. In this reaction, the lead oxide functions as a base. And we know it's a base because it's reacting with an acid and the products are the salt and water. The lead oxide can also react with the base or alkali such as sodium hydroxide to produce the salt sodium plumbate, Na2PbO2, and water. In this example, the lead oxide functions as an acid. As we can see, it's reacting with a base to produce salt and water as the products. Another example, this time using zinc oxide. Zinc oxide will react with an acid, such as sulfuric acid, to yield the salt zinc sulfate and water. In this reaction, zinc oxide functions as a base because it's reacting with the acid to produce a salt and water as the products. Zinc oxide can also react with an alkali, such as sodium hydroxide, to form the salt sodium zincate Na2ZnO2 and water. In this reaction, zinc oxide functions as an acid as it reacts with an alkali to produce salt and water as the only products. The last group of oxides we're looking at are the neutral oxides. These are formed by nonmetals that have low oxidation states. Examples include carbon monoxide CO, nitrogen monoxide NO, and dinitrogen oxide N2O. We will now wrap up the content of this lesson with a quick lesson summary. Oxides are classified according to their acid-base properties. Non-metal oxides are acidic oxides called acid anhydrides. Acid anhydrides dissolve in water to produce acidic solutions. Most metal oxides are basic oxides. Basic oxides that dissolve in water are called alkalis. Basic oxides react with acids to produce salt and water only. Amphoteric oxides react with both acids and bases to produce salt and water only. Neutral oxides are typically naturally oxides of nonmetals with low oxidation states. Neutral oxides do not react with acids or bases. Examples of neutral oxides include carbon monoxide, nitrogen monoxide, and dinitrogen oxide. It's quiz time. You have 5 seconds to answer each question after it is read aloud. Question 1. Identify the oxide that is not an example of an amphoteric oxide. A. Lead oxide, PbO. B. Calcium oxide, CaO. C. Zinc oxide, ZnO. D. Aluminium oxide, Al2O3. The answer is B. Calcium oxide is not an amphoteric oxide. Question 2. Which oxide, when dissolved in water, forms an acidic solution? A. Sodium oxide. B. Potassium oxide. C. Magnesium oxide. D. Carbon dioxide. The answer is D. Carbon dioxide will form an acidic solution when dissolved in water. Question 3. Neutral oxides do not react with acids or bases. Identify the neutral oxide listed below. A. Carbon monoxide, CO. B. Dinitrogen oxide, N2O. C. Nitrogen monoxide, NO. D. All of the above. The answer is D. All of the above are examples of neutral oxides. Question 4. Which equation represents the reaction of a basic oxide with an acid? A. Magnesium oxide reacts with hydrochloric acid to produce magnesium chloride and water. B. Nitrogen dioxide reacts with water to produce nitrous acid and nitric acid. C. Sulfur trioxide reacts with water to produce sulfuric acid. D. Zinc oxide reacts with sodium hydroxide to produce sodium zincate and water. The answer is A. Magnesium oxide reacting with an acid to produce salt and water as the only products. So magnesium oxide is a basic oxide. Question 5. Identify the statement that is correct about neutral oxides. A. Neutral oxides show neither acidic nor basic properties. B. Neutral oxides are formed from nonmetals with low oxidation states. C. Neutral oxides do not form salts. D. All of the above. The answer is D. All of the above statements, A, B, and C, are correct.
We have reached the end of our lesson. If you found this video helpful, remember to like, share, and subscribe. When you subscribe, you will receive notifications as new videos are uploaded. So until next time, I am Teacher with Iri-e-learning.